Yay, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Today it's going to be Daniel and I presenting. Yay, everyone's so excited. So New Year's Eve is very interesting, and Daniel and I were discussing just the idea of New Year's and the people that created it, when it started, and its purpose. And a lot of times, a lot of these holidays are very commercialized and serve for other purposes, usually relating to commercialization and hello capitalism. However, as with anything in life, we can see the positive or the negative perspective. So we try to look at holidays like this as an opportunity to revisit or recalibrate ourselves. But technically speaking, we should be doing that. How often? Every day. Yeah. Yeah. How many people keep a journal? It's all here. That's probably the best place. It's kept there. Oh, that's so true. Nothing gets hacked. It's the best way, I would say. One thing to start off your new year is to invest in any type of journal. It could be a gratitude journal. It could be a prayer journal that you pray for others, pray for yourself, or anything else that's inspiring and uplifting, any kind of journal that you want. There's a lot of different types of journaling you can do. If you have the app Pinterest, you can go on and get journal prompts to know what to write about. Why are we mentioning a journal? It's the best way for us to get to know ourselves and to keep track. But we're going to go a little bit more into this. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome, 2020.
2020. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. 21 years of SSB. 22. We're going to be 22, isn't it? Because we start like 1998. Wow. So now we are like adult.
We're in adulthood now.
Adult, yes.
But as we were talking about journaling and self-reflection, we wanted just to kind of open up the floor a little bit for anyone to discuss. Were you able to accomplish any of the 2019 resolutions/goals that you had set for yourself?
If you remember.
If you remember.
You still remember what you...
Or if they were just recent goals, like within the last few months that you've set for yourself, or within the last 6 months. But if you can remember, last December, last early January, thinking about what resolutions you were making for yourself. Does anyone remember?
Any courageous person that wanted to share?
What
is that?
You made resolutions.
So if you went through the year and it's still here in the fresh, it's a resolution, isn't it? You made through.
Just the fact of being here again, ready to reinitiate the year, it's an accomplishment because it means we didn't quit. You know, despite the problems that we had, we went on resolving those problems, and succeeding or not, here we are.
Yeah, I think John touched on something very interesting because a lot of people didn't make it because they quit their life. And we know that the issue of suicide is something that is increasing more and more. It seems that life on Earth, at least like majority of our planet, major part of our planet has been a little bit easy, isn't it? Like, you know, we don't need to, transportation is much better nowadays, communication, and it seems that people is quitting their life much more than old times when life was not so easy as is today. And of course, we're not going to go to the detail, but there is other elements that was added or we didn't pay attention in the past, and now we are more sensitive about it, and we are not strong enough to face the situation and try to resolve. So I think that's a good point. The fact that we, despite of the struggles that we all have, so even the thought, I hope, never cross our mind to quit our life. So that's a good point. So anyone to Paula, welcome, Happy New Year.
We were just discussing if anyone had set any 2019 resolutions from the previous year, because now we're in 2020, gearing up to hope maybe set new resolutions. So we were asking, did anyone remember last year's resolutions or goals or plans that they had made for themselves?
Because you are not allowed to make any resolution this year if you did accomplish last year. I'm just joking, but do you want to say something, Paula?
Carry over.
No, I think this is a very helpful exercise. It, like you said, it's similar to the review at the end of the day. You review at the end of the year. But I just want to share that last night I went up to New Visions bookstore in York just because they do their annual predictions talk, which I find interesting. And when I scanned their talks coming up for January, they have one that the topic is intention or resolution. So that made me stop and think.
Mm-hmm. And we were just listening to something about that, making resolutions, and if people really understand what that word actually means. When you resolve to do something in your life, that you make the plan. And I heard a quote, I think it was actually by Dr. Phil, and I could have been by somebody else, but there's similar quotes of similar people on the web, which I'll show in a second. But the difference between a dream and a goal are the plans that you make, because we all can have dreams of wanting to live in some exotic place, or well, most of us came from exotic place, so maybe you don't want to go back there. Maybe it's something like Europe, or maybe this is your dream to live in the US, or maybe you want to have a boat or something really extreme, but you always just think about it. You never actually make the plans, and that's what's most important, is that I would say, yes, it's great to make resolutions in January. It's great to set intentions for the year, but it's more important that we be serious about it. And we don't have to wait till December, January. It actually, and I know we've discussed this before, and Paula, before you came in, we were talking about journaling and living more intently and purposefully, and, like leading a more purposeful, driven life. And for us, came this quote, that instead of trying to change your entire life in January, the simpler strategy is to adopt a 12-month plan where you're making constant improvements. Now, one of those ways, one of the parts of the dynamic of making improvements is what Paula was saying, being able to evaluate what you're doing. And the easiest way and the most simplest way is journaling. At the end of every day, you review your day via journal. It can be electronic if you're into that. It can be on a computer. But the most easiest way, you can go to the dollar store, pick up a book, and just every day set out certain goals to accomplish. Kind of like what Benjamin Franklin did with the 13 virtues, where he tried to work on every single day. And I know a friend of mine gave me this really great journal prompt. She told me that I should think about an area of myself that I want to work on. And for instance, she gave me an example for her. She wanted to work on being more open with her friends and loved ones. So I said to her, well, how do you go about doing that? She said, well, I choose one person per week, and I work with that person. Not so much do they know about it, but just me personally, as I'm talking with them, I try to be more present, more mindful, putting away my cell phone when I'm with them, listening to them, engaging with them, opening up myself, and all these things she was telling me, and she journals about it for about a week. And so we can do things like that. The simplest things, you can think of something that you're just trying to work on in your life, something you'd like to be better at. And obviously we need to be making constant improvements. We need to evaluate those constant improvements. So we actually have some, what we call kind of like steps to success, if you will. It's kind of based off this quote, but off of general ways to achieve certain goals. First of all, don't think that you're going to achieve everything in 1 month, whether it's January, whether it's February, whether it's March, April, May, or any other month of the year. Don't think that you set out a goal and I'm going to be done in 1 month, and then people get really discouraged. Give yourself a longer timeline, and we'll talk about timelines as well. Adopt a 12-month plan. Don't just say, okay, in 1 month or in 3 months. Think about the longevity. Think about long-term and where you want to see yourself. Set goals and the steps to achieve them. So again, we were talking about what is the difference between a dream and a goal, or the plans that we make. So you can have beautiful dreams, and lots of people have amazing dreams and things that they want to do, but they never achieve them because they don't make a plan. So this is something we actually highly encourage for people to discuss with anyone, actually, young people, older people, because a lot of times people feel, and I'm going to read a message later today by Joanna, and people say, oh, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too weak, I'm too sick, I can't learn anything, oh, I can't change, I'm stuck in my ways, this is how it is. And we put those limitations in our mind, and we end up never really achieving what we dream of achieving. Writing down your goals are so important. Write down your goals and set dates as to when you would like to achieve them by. Set realistic dates. For instance, the easiest thing I know we always talk about is losing weight. Now, don't think that in 2 months you're going to drop 50 pounds. It's actually not even healthy. So there should be a slow, healthy movement to your improvements. Don't have such a high expectation of yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. I don't have my phone, but this is a really great app a friend of mine told me about. It is called Insight Timer. Insight Timer. What's it called? Okay, yes. It's a great, it is a great, awesome, free meditation app. There's a paid version as well, but the free version is great. And it has all sorts of meditations like someone reading you positive affirmations. But the meditations are great because they have a bunch of what's called loving kindness meditation. And it's about sending loving kindness and compassion to our own self, which we don't do enough of. We really don't. We might listen to a friend going through something difficult and really try to be compassionate towards them. But if you ask yourself, are we that kind to ourselves? Are we that understanding to ourselves? We get like angry with ourselves and frustrated with ourselves when we should show ourselves more compassion, just as a sidebar. And number 5, your plan/goals must be backed up by actions and not just words. And we must evaluate them, which I would say would have been number 6. Must have a way to evaluate the plan/goals that you've set, where we are at in the steps, in the process. I'm trying to get closer to my cousin Sarah, or my cousin Lorraine. So what are the steps that you begin to take? Well, I'm going to call her more often. Okay, goal. I'm going to call her at least once a week. That has a date to it. I'm going to call her and have a slew of questions to ask her to get to know her better, to become closer to her. I don't know, I know this is apps and smart TV and all that kind of stuff is like maybe new, relatively new in the last decade, I guess. But the app Pinterest is amazing. I truly hate Facebook and Instagram and those things because they just, I feel like, set this unrealistic perspective sometimes. But things like Pinterest, you actually can search for things like positive quotes, journal prompts, affirmations, ways to be grateful, and also DIY projects, things to make at home, or how to knit something, or crochet. They have everything you could possibly think of. So if we are lacking in ideas, like, well, how to go about certain things, there are plenty of ideas on the internet or apps like Pinterest for us to do, or for us to take away from. So, and if you ever, lack any ideas, or like you have a goal in mind, but you're not sure about how to go about it, we're always here to discuss things. We have lots of conversations with lots of people. If you want to run something by us, and we can kind of give you some ideas. I know I've ran a lot of ideas by Paula. She has a great resource. She knows a lot of things. She's a lot of
Institutional
resources.
knowledge.
Yes, she has an infinite amount of knowledge.
Institutional
not old.
knowledge. You're not old.
No.
You
Yes.
just accumulated
knowledge.
Knowledge, exactly.
Yes.
So, Casey, I wanted to make a comment
Yes,
on
please.
these steps to success. Is that in general, when we, especially like this time in the year that we think about things that we wanted to improve, we wanted to change, the resolutions that we are making, often we made a mistake because in general, instead we set one goal, we set several goals. And then if we should pay attention to those goals and see, as you mentioned, what is the probability that really goal number one will be accomplished. So I think the idea here, besides follow these 5 steps, is also choose the easiest one first. Because if you choose the one that is very complicated, very difficult, for example, you wanted to lose weight. Let's just take this as an example. You wanted to lose like 10 pounds in 1 month. That would be like very difficult. Challenge. Exactly. So, and then you start to run like crazy, and then you get hurt. And then you have discouraged. So, start to from the simple things. It's like, you know, if you're going to run a marathon, don't start the first day of training, run 3 miles. Just run a little bit, like, I don't know, 1 mile. And then you, okay, tomorrow, and push yourself. So that's easy. That's kind of a little bit easy when it comes with things that depends only on us. But some of our goals involved others, involved complex situations, you know, because you can be well prepared to fulfill your goal, but also there is the other side. Go to, I don't know, get a degree, for example, or apply for a job and get this kind of promotion. You can do the best that we can, but there is another component in this equation that also we need to count, because might not happen, you know. So I think putting this in perspective and following this step, I think is great. But so also there is our part on this, that we need to choose which one we're going to tackle first. Because, I mean, if you really want to reach 1,000 miles, you need to start for the first step. And this, the first step, is important, because if the first 100 step you feel good, so you have motivation to go 500 and then 1,000. And then when we less expected, you did 10,000. So I think also we need to work our mind to know how to use our intellect in this achievement of goal. Because sometimes we have the good intention, we have the intention, but the plan, what is the plan? I think you put something, 12 months. The plan itself is very important. It's very important, you know? So when, for example, when we look at the Spirit's book, why the book is so rich and so, when you start to read, you don't want it to stop. Because it's not because of the answers, it's because of the questions. The question was so well made, like, oh my goodness, this is a good question. So the answer become more, I would say, not easy, but make more sense. You know what I mean? So it's this kind of thing that I think we need to stop and think how direction I wanted to go to my life. You might ask, Daniel, how do I do this? Well, one of the things that we learn with experience in life is observing people that achieve that particular goal and see what they did. And nowadays with Google, we can read about. There is so much motivational talks, books that has real story of people that has succeeded in that area of life. Relationship, you know, personal gain, or personal development. So it's this kind of thing. So nowadays we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We have tons of examples in our society, you know, and we need to recognize that sometimes it's difficult for us, and we may even think, okay, but that person was in a better situation than myself. I mean, we can acknowledge that, but you know, there is several different examples that we can fit in those examples, and then we can do our part. Nobody said that it's going to be easy, and it's not easy. And I think the chance that we have every 365 days to restart again and to rethink and to put in perspective what we wanted to achieve is great. It's great, you know.
The only thing I also would add to that is that it's great to look at perhaps other people that have achieved certain goals that you wish to achieve, but it's a different thing when we compare ourselves to other people. Comparison is death, because two people are clearly going to be on different levels, and we're not going to know what personal struggles that particular person may have gone through in enduring to reach that particular goal. Oftentimes we might look at people that are fit or successful, and we create a story in our mind and think, well, oh, they had no obstacles or they had no inner struggles. And most of the time, unless you know that person personally, and even if you know that person on a personal level, you still may not know what were the inner struggles and workings of their mind that they had to go through, because it's not necessarily something that everyone is open about and talks to everybody about. So it's just something for us to think about, that it's fine to look at other people, but just, you know, don't compare ourselves. Say, well, this person
kind of a motivation. I mean, we need to have some external motivation, because sometimes the internal motivation is not too strong enough. And then we say, guess what? That person was able to achieve that. So I understand that, you know, each one has to have their own pathway and their own struggles. Is not the same, because we are different. We are in different level. But I think as a motivation, as a start point, I think should be something that if we don't know, this is for people that doesn't know how to start. You know, so maybe you can instead create something that, you know, just reinvent the wheel. And not reinvent the wheel. So one thing that personally I learned is with our teachers. You know, there is a lot of things that I achieved because my teachers in school, what they said, what they story that they shared in the class, and we pay attention to that to say, oh my goodness, this is something that I may consider to do it. So it's just like kind of, they were like the motivator in their life. Each one of us has people that we feel motivated to change or to do something. Welcome our friends in the back. Happy New Year. Okay, kissing.
Yes. So,
Okay.
go ahead.
Question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Which is the hero for each one of us?
The hero? And maybe we can go through the... okay, maybe we can do this at the end, because we still have some slides to go
Yeah,
through.
Great, thank you.
That's a great question.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So up to now, we are talking about how in the new year we can accomplish things. And when we look around, majority of the question that people, or the resolution that people made, is related to external thing. You know, it's related to losing weight, stop to smoke, or I don't know, get that promotion. Is things that is related to our material life. But then, what happened that every year, either we accomplish those resolutions, or we go to the next year making the same resolution. This year I need to achieve that promotion, I need to find a new job. And it seems that thing has going on every year. And when we look back, 10, 20 years has passed. And the question is, what we are doing wrong not to achieve those resolutions that was made 20 years ago? And in the Spirit's book, question 919, Kardec asked a question. This is in the chapter of, I think it's in the moral laws, the third part, I believe. But the question is, what is the most effective means for improving ourselves in the life and for resisting the draw of evil? Before we go to the answer. So what is the best way for us to achieve happiness? We just look in the question, because that's what prevents us to be happy. Is because our vices. The evil here is in the sense that absence of goodness, okay? So why I don't do good all the time? Why my life is not a happy life? Why only trouble, struggle happen in my life? How is there a effective means? Effective means that's something that is not going to fail, okay? And the answer is just one statement. A sage of antiquity has told you, know thyself. Who was the person that said that? It's a Greek philosopher. So to see that knowledge has been in humanity way before Christ, and is still very up to date today. So when they answer, the Spirit didn't give a answer that said, oh, you need to pray more, you need to work more. So that was not the answer. The answer is, know thyself. Self-discovery, isn't it? We need to know ourselves. But do we know ourselves? Maybe what? 10%, 20% of ourselves? So how do we, if we say, do we know ourselves, how do we identify, what's the proof? How can I tell you, how can you tell someone that you know yourself? Can you give an example of this? When you go to a different situation, and they will overcome, you know yourself? Okay, let me ask a question here. Is there anyone here that is jealous? Raise your hand. Oh, there is a courageous person here. Does anyone here get angry? Ah, okay. Does anyone here have some kind of selfishness? Have some envy? Envy? Okay, if you don't say that you don't feel at least a little bit envy in your life, you're a liar. There is another vices. You're not human. Because the level that we are in the planet of trial and expiation, which means that we are more toward the animal instinct than the angelic level, okay? So it's not bad to recognize. So when we recognize, when we know ourselves, we need to add not only the qualities that we think we have, because when we add the qualities that we think we have, is the work of the ego. Oh, you know, I'm very smart. I speak like 10 languages. That's the ego. The ego is the, you know, outside. It's not the self. You know thyself means know the self. The self means like know all your qualities, but also know all your defects, you know, your vices. So this is a challenge for us. Because there is situation in our life that if it happens, you don't know how you're going to act. If you don't know how you're going to act, you don't know yourself. If someone come here with a gun, so you don't know how you're going to act. So it means we don't know ourselves. When we say that I'm not jealous, come on, it means that you don't know yourself. So you might not know how to identify that sentiment or that feeling. That's telling that we don't know ourselves. Because sometimes we have the feeling, but we don't know how to name it. We don't know how to name it, what kind of sentiment, feeling we have. So if you don't know how to name it, means that we don't know ourselves. So, and then many people say, oh no, I'm not jealous. I'm not envy. I don't have this pride that you are telling me that I have. Ooh, that's a problem. It is a problem, and I'm saying this because this is not from here. It's from here, me and you, and the whole humanity, because that is something that we put in our resolution to accomplish and to do things, but we forgot the fundamental thing that is the essence, our essence as a spirit. And to know ourselves is almost impossible. We know ourselves in one lifetime. We come from many reincarnations. And each incarnation or reincarnation that we have a different persona. And if we add this as man and as female, things can get complex. So, and then we come to this lifetime with a lot of traumas that sometimes we even don't know that we have. And we don't have the answer. And we look for the answer. We say, why I'm this way? Why am I that way? Why I react this way or that way? There is no, I came from a family, so this is we come from families that everything was well put together, but now I have a behavior that doesn't match with the way I was raised in that family. Where does this come from? This is a good question. Kirsten, you wanted to make some comment on this?
I do, actually. I like the idea of being practical and realistic. So if the high order spirits are telling us that we need to know ourselves, get to know ourselves, because what is know thyself? Get to know yourself. So how are we achieving that goal? What are our plans on a daily basis? What do we do daily to achieve that goal? This is not a rhetorical question. I'm asking you guys, what are the ways in which you get to know yourself daily, weekly, monthly?
Paula?
The process of meditation is extremely helpful because you really are sitting with your mind. I think most people now know it doesn't mean stopping your thoughts. That was like a misnomer. But through that simple daily practice, and you see your mind and how it triggers and associates, and you connect it in with your feelings, it's amazing to start to get some distance. And again, it could be 12 months, 24 months, it doesn't matter, because you will get rewards that give you another second or two to step back in real life when you're triggered. I just went through that with my cat. I'm having a power struggle with the boy because he was starved. I understand that. So he's always wanting food. And then I had to go into that place of awareness. And I really think it's coming from the meditation discipline, where I caught myself right in the middle. I said, stop. And then this heart of compassion opened. I still needed to set a limit. But boy, if you can switch the energy, that to me was a miracle.
That is awesome, Paul.
Thank
you so much for sharing that. We are definite, well, I'll speak for myself because I don't want to speak for Daniel, but I think a lot of us are big advocates for meditation. Joanna De Angelis, the spirit guide of Divaldo Franco, in most of her writings mentions or refers to or somehow brings in the idea of meditation, how important it is as a daily routine. Again, I'm going to throw out there for those who arrived later, because I don't know at what point in our talk did I mention this, but there's a great app. It's called Insight Timer, and they have 1-minute meditations. So for those who don't know how to meditate or not accustomed to it, you can start with daily 1-minute meditations. You can go to 5 minutes. You can go to 6 minutes, whatever amount you want to go to, and it's great. They have a vast array, male voices, female voices, and different kinds. So how are we working on ourselves to get to know ourselves? Yes, we can just live life, and through our experiences, we get to know ourselves. But if we want to live more intently with purpose, and in the Spirit's book, I think we're going to be talking about this, or we might be the next question, or it's one of the questions definitely in the Spirit's book, that our evolution and our happiness depends on us, on how hard we decide to work towards that. So we can move really slowly, or we can move at a faster, slightly faster pace. So it's really, truly up to us. And I can side with Paula in saying it is a magnificent experience to get to know yourself and to have the sensation of coming home for the first time. I can definitely share that as a personal experience just to illustrate what we're talking about here, that having had the experience of going through therapy and getting to know, because basically the therapist is mirroring back to you what you're saying. And perhaps it's the first time you ever were cognizant of, wow, I do think like that. Oh, I didn't realize that. It's the most amazing experience, and so is journaling. You might think, oh gosh, it's corny, it's takes too much time, I don't have time, I have kids, I got dogs, I got cats, there's always a reason not to do something. But every single human being on this earth has only 24 hours in their day. Everyone from Bill Gates to my trash man. Everyone has the same amount of hours, same amount of days. Not the same amount of circumstances, but the same amount of possibilities to reach certain goals. Now, we don't all have to have a goal of wanting to live in a mansion or wanting to have a big family. Maybe our goals are just to live out our life with positive intention, to help where we can, and to spread good where we can. I've been listening a lot to the very famous person on TV, Dr. Phil McGraw, and been listening to him watching him since the years of Oprah. And I was listening to a podcast of him and his wife, and they were discussing about their success and what the success they've had throughout their lives. And one interesting thing I heard Dr. Phil say was that him and his wife were reflecting together that way back 20 years ago, or 25 years ago, because they've been married for 43 years, 20, 30 years ago, when they were living in a one-bedroom apartment or even or small home in a very small area and very basic living, they had very basic cars like a Ford, and he had a Ford Taurus or whatnot. And he turned to his wife and said, "We were just as happy then as we are now." They didn't need to have this success to be happy. And I truly believe that that is a true measure of real happiness. Because when we feel like, well, I need to have this car, this external thing to be happy, we're misleading ourselves. We're doing ourselves a disservice. Because ultimately, all that which we can take with us to the other side, that is what's most important. What lies in our hearts, our emotions, our behaviors, our morality, our integrity, those are the things that we need to be working on. And that's why when we talk about getting to know yourself, that learning self-compassion is as equally important. Because sometimes when you get to know yourself, you're like, man, I'm a crappy person. I'm not as great as I thought I was. Like, this is bad. We need to have more compassion and forgive ourselves. Be kind to ourselves. Be kind to your body. We ingest so many toxic things. We need to be more aware. Drink more water. That's just a sidebar. Anyway.
And I think you said something that is very important in this know thyself, is that often we forget to, we have lack of awareness about our feelings, what I truly feel. Or sometimes we don't want to acknowledge. And I think another way is to pay attention what I feel, or what is my feeling when I'm in front of a situation that can be good or bad. How do I feel when I watch a movie, a program? What's going on inside of me? Because sometimes what happens is you're watching a movie, and especially a movie that there is the good guy and the bad guy, and we get upset. By watching a movie, we get upset. And then we say, okay, why we are getting upset? I mean, like, come from Brazil, is huge in Brazil, the soap opera. And there is tons of actor and actresses that they are like in the mall, when they're walking the mall because they play a bad person in the soap opera. People get angry with the actor because they cannot differentiate the role that person plays in the soap opera with the real person. So what is telling us? We need to work on this. So what's my feeling when I see my co-worker be promoted? What that little, sentiment that we have? Or when someone is, I don't know, get something that we wanted to have, and suddenly, we see someone dressing the way we would like to be dressed. So this little thing, and I think that's what is a practical way, kissing, that we need to observe ourselves. I think what Paula says over there about the cat herself in the middle of that emotion when she was about to make, a decision or act, I think that's a good way that we are starting to know ourselves.
And let's just a reminder, she attributed that to the meditation
to the
practice
meditation,
that she
yes.
has,
Yes. And one thing
been
about the
using.
meditation, Kirsten, because we have a misconception about meditation. So we think that meditation is like put a candle here and stay like for, 1 hour. I mean, if you wanted to do that, that's okay. But the Dalai Lama, I think it was the Buddha or Dalai Lama, says once that, it's simple. Just set yourself for 1 minute. And next week for 5 minutes. Because for those that do meditation for 1 hour, they have been doing this for their whole life, yes. And he said, if you don't are able to achieve this 1 month, 7 years, maybe 7 reincarnation, we're going to be able to accomplish that level of meditation. But another thing that I learned about meditation is that there is so many different kinds of meditation. For example, for people that drives a lot, I drive 1 hour to my work. So sometime when I'm in my car, I turn the radio off, everything, and just try to be with myself. I can do a 10, 15-minute meditation, but it's not easy because you have the cars, you need to pay attention, but pay attention what's going on into your mind. You can go crazy in the beginning, but then with time, you feel yourself, and then you know what you feel those ideas, and even like struggle and problem that you have in your life becomes so like, not so a big burden in your life. And I think we can, when you're running, like if you run, if you do exercise, I mean like it's a meditation, just it's a meditation. So it depends how you define meditation. If you are looking for those meditation that the Buddhist does for 1 hour, so maybe that's not the best way to start to do meditation. But is to allow yourself to have some time by yourself and your mind in like mindfulness, like here, right here. Like you guys are here, you guys listen to me. It's not, I hope you're not thinking about dinner yet. This is a meditation. This is a meditation. So, okay, just wanted to make it.
So, let's go with our second question from
can you
the
do that
Spirit's
question?
Book.
That's the question you were mentioning, isn't it?
Could humans always overcome their evil tendencies through their own efforts? The answer, yes. And sometimes with very little effort. What they lack is willpower. How few of you make such an effort, however? So it takes very little effort to make changes. But it also, most importantly, takes willpower. And that's one of the definitive factors why after that, I think I read somewhere recently that or there was a joke, someone made that by like December 31st, there's like 1 million people making so many resolutions and setting goals. But then by January 3rd, most people aren't even thinking about it anymore. But however, I think they say it's a couple months in or a month or two in, because one of those things is willpower. And in the book Happy Life, which we usually talk about or we read from, Joanna says, if you feel your willpower is weak, it's because you have not been exercising it enough. So the very act of trying to change ourselves, work on certain things, making the effort daily is already building the strength in our willpower. And you'll notice this about yourself. Once you're able to achieve something small, you have the confidence and the assurance in yourself that you're able to accomplish other things. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any comments they wanted to share about that?
This is now or never. What's your name?
one thing that I'd like to mention is to deal with our difficulties, it's very important to be very honest with ourselves. Because the moment that you are really honest with yourself, you can actually view yourself from a different angle, and you can deal with your, struggles, your problems in a completely different way. And also when we talk to God, not talking to God to ask Him, I want this, I want that. But when you talk to God with your heart, you also can really feel that you are talking to Him in a very sincere way. So doing this, you can really know yourself every day a little bit more and have mercy with yourself. But we have to take care that we cannot every single day, okay, I have done this today that was not good, I should have done it in a different way, but we have to kind of keep an eye on ourselves, because if I do something wrong and I forgive myself every single day, it's like a game, it's a ping pong. So we have to make sure we are really on the right path to get better, to really become a different person every, single day in our lives.
Yeah, most definitely.
Thank
Most
you,
definitely.
Solange.
Thank you for
Very
sharing
good
that.
comment.
Yeah. We actually wanted to show a video by this
Can you
YouTuber.
turn off the light?
I think I have it open below. Do I?
Yeah,
Oh, I did have it open, but
I think you closed. isn't
I
it?
did close it.
Yes, just click in the, yes. Yes. Yeah, it's gonna open. Is the audio? I think you. It's too loud. No, there is something wrong here and there. Yeah. It was working, isn't it?
Breaking news, right?
Yeah. We're gonna play from the beginning. What happened?
Guess.
Yeah, that's okay.
They choose to be deaf. It's not breaking news, right? I mean, to choose the eyes is such an easy decision. So it boggles my mind, even though we cherish our eyes, so many people live without having a clear vision. Did you know that there are 7.7 billion people on this planet? You probably did. But did you know that no two of them have the same iris pattern? I checked it out. It's a true fact. Even twins are different. Likewise, you, yes, you, have your own unique vision. At birth, the universe gave you a prescription that's custom-made lenses designed for you and placed in your heart. So do not live your whole life without having contact with that part. You know, life is kind of like that movie Bird Box. You know, with Sandra Bullock on Netflix. It was big. My point is, a lot of people are afraid to look at their dreams. But unlike the movie, you won't die when you see them. You will finally live. My little brother told me he was afraid of the dark last night. I tucked him in thinking, what a plight. Kids are afraid of the dark. Adults afraid of the light. I guess that's life. See, a wise man once said, there are none so blind as those who choose not to see. How many people do you know who were given a vision, given an idea, but chose not to act on it? They got the call, but hit decline on the true purpose of their lives. Maybe this is you, and maybe you were scared. Maybe you needed someone else to confirm it and make it clear. But that's not how the world works, I swear. See, eyes that look are common. Eyes that can truly see are rare. Oh, you want proof? Well, let's play a game. I'm gonna make a statement, and then you guess the person's name. You ready? Let's play. He was fired from a newspaper for having no imagination or original ideas. Walt Disney. Okay, next one. His teacher said he was hopeless and would never be a composer. That's Beethoven. How about this one? Her singing coach said she will never make it as a singer because her voice breaks too much. Lady Gaga. See, the critics couldn't see Tyrone Bogue's vision either. When Tyrone was 10 years old, he stopped growing. He was diagnosed with a rare disease that stunted his growth. He spent his whole life at the height he was when he was 10. So how could this boy play in the NBA for 13 seasons? Because he had a vision bigger than his limitations. Everybody told him he would never make it. When asked, how does it feel to be surrounded by men so much bigger than you? He said quite simply and intently, kind of feels like being a dime amongst pennies. Never, I repeat, never let the experts stop your dream. They can't see your heart. Remember, experts built the Titanic, amateurs built the Ark. Scientists say that the bumblebee isn't supposed to fly. They say its puny wings can't hold up his body. They're just not anatomically right. Well, if bumblebees could speak, they would say, bro, you don't know my life. Last month I was in the UAE, and what I saw brought tears to me. Only 50 years ago, all they had was sand and dreams, literally. No running water or electricity, but their vision was large. Today, you can eat lunch a half mile in the sky. Every citizen gets an education, and those roads for camels are now highways for cars. You know the old saying, shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you land amongst the stars? Well, in 2020, the Emirates have a space mission shooting to Mars. Ladies and gentlemen, what is your dream? You better own it. Do not let people with possibility blindness, nearsighted ambitions block your vision and give you life glaucoma. There have been over 107 billion people to have lived and died on planet Earth, but there has never been and will never be another you. You have greatness inside of you. You have a gift inside of you. So take that blindfold off now. Rip it up, break it. Life ain't just about making a living. It's about living your making. It is no coincidence that the year approaching is 2020, because I have a funny suspicion that if you work on your self-image and stop squinting at your ambitions, then 2020 won't be your year. It will be your decade of perfect vision.
We wanted to share that. He's a YouTuber, Prince EA. I don't even know how to say his name.
He
But
has like 5 million subscribers.
Right. Yeah, he has a lot. But he has great motivational videos, great messages to be spread out there in
Before
the
you
world.
move, one thing that I like in this video is that 2020 is not your year. It's going to be your decade. So if your resolution doesn't work in 2020, so you have 10 years to go, okay? So yeah, not a chance. You have 10 times. Okay,
Yes.
Kirsten, sorry.
Yes. So we also wanted to share a message by Albino Teixeira, which is a spirit. Albino Teixeira.
Yeah, this was a message psychograph by Chico Francisco Cândido Xavier. And in this book, Passos da Vida, is not in English, this book I translate from, would be like Steps of Life, I think.
Yeah.
And it's very appropriate for this time in the year, because a lot of people may feel that because of the struggles, they're not able to get their resolution done. So
Or to move on, yeah. So the message goes like this: what we suffer the most in the world, it is not the difficulty, it is the discouragement to overcome it. It is not the trial, it is the despair in face of suffering. It is not the disease, it's the dread of receiving it. It's not the unfortunate relative, it is the hurt of having it in the family team. It is not failure, it is the stubbornness of not recognizing our own mistakes. It is not ingratitude, it is the incapacity to love unselfishly. It is not our own submissive condition, it is the revolt against the superiority of others. It is not our pain, it is our wounded pride. It is not temptation, it is the lust to try its suggestions. It is not the aging of the body, it is the passion for appearances. How easy it is to perceive, in the solution of any problem, the worst problem is the burden of afflictions that we create, develop, and sustain against ourselves. So these are just some thoughts for us to think about, and it's all about perception and how we perceive the world around us, and especially within us. So we wanted to end.
we still have one message after that.
No, I know. So we're coming to an end, I meant to say. But this is another message from Happy Life by Joanna DeAngelis. And this is, if you don't have this book, we do have a new edition out. There's a second edition out. And it's just as good as the first, just with some updates. But it's a great book to have on you at all times, in your car, in your center console, on your coffee table. It's great for, when you're at work and you want to keep it in your desk drawer when you need a sort of pick me up, or someone else around you at work might need a pick me up. It's great to have a book of short messages that you can just read real quick to uplift you. But in this particular message, Joanna says, in a 24-hour day, reserve a few moments for reflection. The person who proceeds without meditation loses contact with himself. Corralled by the hands of the clock, or out in front of them, or behind them, he becomes confused and loses his way. A periodic review of goals and actions is indispensable to success. As you reflect, you will review your mistakes and have time to repair them. You can reprogram your tasks and renew yourself more easily. Speak less, sleep a little less, and meditate more. Otherwise, wasted minutes that you use for meditation will be transformed into points of light in your day. These are great tips that she gives us, and how important it is, especially when she talks about a periodic review of goals and actions. We talked about this earlier. One way to do that, I'm sure there are other ways that one can review their periodic goals, or their goals periodically, interactions periodically. But one great and easy and effective way to do that is journaling, or to keep a journal, or if you want to call it a diary, or just a book you have by your bed to put in books of, to review your day. It's a great way to measure or to evaluate yourself and how you're doing on this journey. Did you have any?
No.
Okay. So this particular message came through recently. It's a
Last
psychophonic
Monday.
message. On December 30th, this past Monday, at our mediumistic meeting, and we thought we should share it with everyone. And this is a message from one of the mentors. And it reads, "Life is the precious diamond of the soul. Life is continuous. It has a beginning, not an end. We are talking about the eternal life of the spirit. However, When we inhabit lower planets like the planet Earth, it is necessary for us to stop and make time and space to think and meditate, to ponder and evaluate in order to keep moving in life. Without these parentheses in our lives, we will lose track of our own improvement. We will be like pebbles that have been kicked on the road with no purpose or sense. Certainly, it is important that all of us unite our thoughts, that we unite our desires and goodwill for the new year that is about to begin. But also let us be grateful for the year that is coming to an end. Life is the precious diamond of the soul. Let us value its depth and let us take advantage of this unique moment in which both planes, the spiritual and the material ones, are more than interconnected in the New Year celebration. Although it seems superficial for so many, the New Year's celebration is also an important milestone for spirits due to the movement of the current of positive thoughts emitted by humans. Because during this time of the year, the inhabitants of the planet Earth are more mindful about what they did and about what they want to do in the future. We, the good spirits, are taking advantage of this parentheses too, to inspire, to infuse strength and courage, to embrace our loved ones, and to be joyful and prayerful for the future ahead. For this New Year's Eve, be assured that we will be with you, celebrating, praying, and inspiring you towards the next goals for your lives. Our deepest respect and love. SSB Spiritual Team.
So this message, although was a message for as mentioned here, the New Year's Eve. So we wanted also to extend for the rest of the year, because it's a positive message. I mean, in general, we don't share the message that we receive inside in our mediums meeting, because most of the time the message that comes is related to the spirits that will be working that night. It's for that service, the purpose. But at least once or twice in a year, we receive message that is more that we feel that we should share with our community, because it's not for us only, it's for everybody. And one thing, I mean, we can study this message, and we have read the message a couple of times. We write the message inside, we make some comment, and we wanted to also share here. And one of the things for me, and each one of you can pick something in this message and probably bring home and meditate. If you wanted the message, I can send to you by email, so just let me know after. But the second paragraph is one of the most important for us, for me at least, because majority of people in our planet, they don't have time, they don't stop to think, they don't stop to meditate, as she mentioned. They don't give time to, their family, or it's just all the time in that mode, like think about work, about how, you know what I mean? And these simple things that we have in life, we are not stopping. And then when we crash, when we get sick, so we don't need to get sick. We don't need to crash in life to observe and to give some of our, what he mentioned, importance for the life. We don't need to go through this. We don't need to. In fact, we learn that when we come to this incarnation, not just suffering, although it's part of our evolution, the struggles, but the way we perceive the struggles is not in a suffering or painful way, but that is not the way that we learn. So we see as a suffering. We have people that through their suffering, they consider a blessed, because help them to see life different. So let me know if you wanted to make any comment on this message. I can open the microphone for you. If not, I can email this message or put in the WhatsApp group or send by email. So, okay.
Yeah, I speak for myself, and I'm sure many. Getting this message to be able to reflect on it would be very helpful, and then it takes it, like you said, out of the realm of just New Year's. What it made me think of was something I read in the Unity magazine this morning, and I was unaware of this, but the Dalai Lama has also endorsed it, that there's a practice now around the world at 9 p.m. at night to have 1 minute of silence. So it may not always work with your lifestyle, but I think having that knowledge, because like we know, there's more power when more than one soul is concentrating on it. So I just thought I'd share that. And the other quote, and I forget who they attributed to because I'm not much on details. I just like to get the big picture. Your attitude controls your altitude. And then one more I got in my meditation group. I'm just giving very quick ones that I'm working on. Ego is edging God out.
That's nice.
That's good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What else, Kirsten? What we have?
No, just like you were sharing, I think it's, and Paula just happened to mention as well, I think it's a message that we can use throughout the year. It's not just for New Year's. I think it's applicable for, just looking at our life in general. But this is the end of our talk, and we did want to open up for questions and comments. And it could still be questions or comments on this message or anything else we discussed. Or, if you want to talk about what goals you are planning for yourself or have been planning that you are trying to achieve, maybe you'll inspire somebody else to do the same. You never know.
Yeah. We just need 5 minutes for comment because of time.
Yes.
And then we're going to move to our pass. But this is your time, guys. Any comment? If you want to. So, Aloysio mentioned at the beginning that you said your questions about what's your hero. So, what's your hero, Aloysio? You can say now.
Michael Phelps. Although he had depression, he overcame.
Yeah, there is a nice documentary out there about Michael Phelps. About his life. Yeah, it's true inspirational. Yes. Anyone? Our new friends over there. Mari, you want to say something? Chris, Maria. No heroes? You guys don't have heroes? You have heroes? One of the things that message, if you can go back to that message, says that also is important for us is this part here. That, we need to keep in our mind that we have a guardian angel. We have a spirit guide that is looking for us, is waiting to inspire us. Although here this is like, it was not one spirit, but it was the name of the spiritual team, the spirit that the mentors of this house. For us that come here at least once or 2 or 3 times in a week, we need to be open for that. We need to try to be open that when the situation becomes very difficult, when we need to make choices, we need to choose something, and we don't know what's the best way, let's open our mind to the good spirits. To the good spirits, okay? Because sometimes we open our mind, but not so good spirits is going to come and give idea to us that, wow, that's not the best way to go. But how will you do this? We need also to, to evoke them in our mind, for any situation in your life. Sometimes you are invited for high-profile meetings that you need to present. So what you do, I invoke those guys. I say, look, this is mental, help me. I need to go before this group of people and give this presentation, and please make me not blank. Because the fear of someone that's going front is what? Forget. If you forget what you're going to say, then that really can, make you more like, the anxieties go high. So we ask the help for them to protect you. If you go to an interview, a job interview, if you go to a testing school, college, or if you go to apply for a job, anything, evoke their presence. Really, and verbalize, not outside, inside of your car, do your prayer, and ask them. If you look for a partner, if you look for someone, you're like, oh my God, my life is so lonely, I need to find someone. Ask them to point, to give a direction. There is nothing wrong for that. Jesus said that we should ask. We should knock, but you should wait. And sometimes we ask, we knock, and go away. And when the door opens, you are not there. So be careful what you ask. But our guardian angel, they are there for us. It's a spirit guide that was assigned for us to help us in those moments. They are not here to remove our trials, our pain, but they are here to give support, to give consolation, to give a shoulder, to strength, to make you more strong in that situation. The Dr. Bezerra de Menezes, that his name is that door over there, Dr. Bezerra de Menezes says something very interesting. He says that we are not here to remove the pain of our friends or other people, but it's our obligation to minimize, to make easier, to help the person go to that pain. You know what I mean? So we need to. He is talking about charity, you know, because sometimes people say, "Oh, you know, should we, you know, give money or give, you know, soup?" Or, you know, he say, "Look, it's not up to us to judge, but whatever we can do to minimize the hunger of someone, please let's do it." You know. So we are not in the power or in the authority to remove the pain of others. As the same way, we should not expect that the good spirit is going to come here and remove our pain, even Jesus. But we ask for the strength. We ask them to help us to see clear, have like Vision 2020, as is mentioned here in the audio. So I think if you don't have any comment, I think probably you wanted to stop here. I wish to you and your family, but also to our community, a great year of 2020. We're going to have a great program here in this house. Speakers, some speakers that came here before, or the new speakers going to come. We are thinking about has a nice program for our year to 2020. Events we're going to have this year. This year we're going to have the Spiritist Medical Congress in Washington, D.C., that we, the SSB, also are sponsor and helping in the organization as well. So this is going to happen in October. We're going to have a small seminar and forum, Spirits Forum, that we promote during the year. So we are continuing work with the other Spirit Center here, the Spirit Center of Germantown, the Allan Kardec Spirit Center of Maryland, and a Spirit Society of North Beach. So during the summer, we're going to have our summer camp together as Spirit Center working together. So it's very important that we are not only do things by ourselves, that we also engage with the other Spirit Center in our state in order to strengthen ourselves. Because the moment that we are living now, the transition has been very challenging to, you know, all work of good, you know. So that's it. Thank you, Kirsten. Great presentation.
Thank you, everyone.
If you have any question at the end, we will be here to answer. But right now, what we want to do, we want to dim the lights. We're going to have our passes for new friends. So you're going to be invited to come in front. And before that, Kirsten do like a kind of visualization, meditation, so we can transition from the intellectual to a more emotional mode. So then we can receive our passes and our blessed water that we have here. Thank you.
So we're going to put on the music as well.